Hello everyone, and we are continuing on our lesson of solving equations. And on this particular lesson, I'd like to cover the two-step equations. What do I mean by two-step equations? Two-step means that two things are being done to the variable. So for example, x divided by 5 minus 7 equals 3. Let's say we have an equation like this. We have two things that are being done to the variable. The 5 is being divided and 7 is being subtracted. But the way you solve this is actually the same as you would solve a regular equation. So just a reminder of our two rules of solving equations. So the first thing is you need to do the opposite of what's being done to the variable. And I don't think I was very clear with this on the last video of what opposites are, but subtraction or addition and subtraction are opposites, and multiplication and division are opposites. Or you can think of these as opposites when solving equations. So if something is being subtracted to the variable, then add to both sides. If something is being multiplied to the variable, then divide from both sides. And that leads to our second rule, which was do the same thing to both sides. Okay, and I would add a third rule for two-step equations. Because you need to do more than one thing here to solve for x, start in the reverse order of operations. Now this might seem a bit confusing, but basically think of the order of operation. Remember, our order of operation was PEMDAS, parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, and addition, subtraction. So we do this first and then this last for order of operations, right? When you're solving equations, this is the key here, doing the opposite. So you have to do this in opposite as well. So for example, in our equation here, two things are being done to x. 5 is being divided and 7 is being subtracted. Which one should you get rid of first? And if you take the order of operations literally, then you'll have to do the divided by 5 first, right? But since when solving equations, we're working everything backwards, you will have to get rid of the minus 7 first. Okay, so that's the reverse order of operations. I know it sounds confusing, but I'm sure it'll become more intuitive as you do more practice with this. So let's get rid of the minus 7. How do you get rid of the minus 7? You have to add 7 to both sides. Right, we're doing the opposite, and the minus 7 and the plus 7 cancel. It becomes 0. So now we have x divided by 5 equals, what is 3 plus 7? It's 10. And please, please, please don't say that x equals 2. X does not equal 2. Some of you see division, 5 and 10, and automatically you think x equals 2. This is a very common mistake. So I know 2 could be an intuitive answer, but don't trust your intuition too much here, because it might lead, or it very often does lead, to incorrect answers. So what is the correct answer here? Well, again, we need to do the opposite of what's being done. 5 is being divided here, so you need to multiply by 5 on both sides. I'm using dot for multiplication so that you don't confuse with x. So if you multiply by 5 and then divide by 5, those two will cancel. Or actually, I should have used a different color to differentiate the original equation from what we were adding on. Okay, so those 5's cancel. So x equals 10 times 5, which is 50. X should equal 50. And I encourage you to check your answers. Okay, so plug the 50 back into the original equation. So the original equation is 50 over 5 minus 7 equals 3. And check, does this actually equal 3? Well, what is 50 divided by 5? That's 10 minus 7 equals 3. 10 minus 7 does equal 3. Okay, so you can check this way. Okay, let's do one more example. All right, we have 5x minus 9 equals 21. Right, so again, two things are being done to x right now. 5 is being multiplied and 9 is being subtracted. Okay, and the key is that we need to get rid of these one by one so that we get our answer for x. So using the reverse order of operations, we need to get rid of the minus 9 first. Or another way of thinking about this is try and get rid of what's on the outside. So right here, it looks like 5 and x are very much attached to each other. So start by getting rid of what's not inside the group of x. Okay, so 9 looks like an outsider. So try and get rid of the 9 first. How do you get rid of the 9? Or how do you get rid of minus 9? You do the opposite, which is plus 9. Okay, and you do the same thing to both sides. So the minus 9 and the plus 9 will cancel each other. We have 5x equals 30. Okay, and again, we do the opposite of what's being done. 5 times x, so we divide by 5 on both sides. And the 5's will cancel on this side, and x is going to equal 6. And again, let's check our answer. If you do 5 times 6 minus 9, does that equal 21? Okay, 5 times 6 is 30. Then you do 30 minus 9. 30 minus 9 is 21. So 21 equals 21. So we're done. Okay, so this is our correct answer. Okay, I think solving equations, it could be very confusing at first, but with more practice, you can be more familiar with these. And always write out each of the process, like I did here. Write out. Many of you skip this middle step and you just write your answer intuitively. Don't trust your intuition too much, because the human brain often makes mistakes when solving equations. Write these out step by step, and then I also encourage you to check your answers once you've gotten the answer.